You guys must be under constant attack.
When you work in a bank or, for example, DOD or military, it's 24/7 war room. Whenever the attack happens, we must go there. So it's a 24-hour war room. You must be prepared for this kind of pressure.
When you see somebody that you think is way up there, they're there because they had those struggles. They've been through it. They've fought these issues. We've all gone through it. It's not like this person was born into the world as a networking god that knew everything. They fought with things. They struggled. Maybe what we should do is go around all of Cisco Live and just ask people, how many networks have you broken?
Hey everyone, David Bombal coming to you from Cisco Live with Marcelo, VIP at Cisco, Dan, Cisco Champion. On your jersey, I see VIP program. What's that about?
Yeah, this is a program that when you started understand what Cisco is, we have a lot of channels. So you have the Cisco Learning channel, you have the Cisco Advocate, you have the Cisco Community channel. And when you go to the Cisco Community, we start answer posts, making posts. We start creating knowledge-based articles. And then when you start to answer a lot of posts, people from Cisco select just a bunch of guys that answer the most of the questions, and then you become a Cisco designated VIP. So right now we are 60 persons, and we are responsible for 45% of all the answers of the Cisco community in 2022.
That's crazy. I mean, there's 1 million people in that community,
right?
Yeah,
more than 1 million people. So it's a very pleasure. I'm from Brazil. So it's a very pleasure to represent Brazil as a Cisco designated VIP.
I love it. You got to say something to people in Brazil.
Meus amigos, é verdade que eu estou falando com David Bombal. My friends, it's true that I'm talking with David Bombal.
That's great. I'm so glad to have you. Marcelo, it says here as well, you were shortlisted for Cybersecurity Defender of the Year award.
Yeah. It's insane because when I wrote to Defender to be a kind of nominee, people say, okay, but everyone is from United States. And you are from Brazil, we are doing all alone. So how? I say, come on, I'm from Brazil. So.
But if you don't try, you don't know, right?
Yeah, why not? And maybe I can do what you do, you inspire people. Because when I go to a nominee, for me, it's a victory. And when I tell to other guys from not only from United States or not only Brazil, South America, Latin America, if I can do, you can do.
Exactly.
I know that there is a lot of people much better than me. And if I go there, these people can go there. But someone must inspire, someone promote, someone say, it's possible. And it's funny because when we are all sitting, the nominees are all sitting, I taking photos, making selfies and say, man, this for me is a victory.
I love that.
I don't care.
It's the journey as well, right?
Yes, I remember Hannah Montana music, The Climb. So at the end of the day, it's The Climb. I look back, it's The Climb, it's the best. I love it.
Dan, I see on the wall over there, it says you won a beard competition at a festival twice. You got to explain that.
I won a beard competition twice.
But I believe.
Is that right?
At our local Renaissance Festival, they have a German themed day, so Oktoberfest, and one of the things that they have is a beard competition. So they'll have different categories, styles and grizzly and all that. And I've gone and won for longest beard twice now. So you win for literally doing nothing. Don't shave, win an award.
I love it.
You can't beat that.
In my note here, it says you won or shortlisted for a Trailblazer Customer Award. What's that about?
So I actually ended up winning that last night.
Oh, congrats. Last night.
Yes,
well done.
So they had the announcements last night. Thank you. Two ways to answer that. So the awards, basically it's part of the Cisco Insider Advocate Awards. There's two groups where there's self-nominated ones and then Cisco-nominated ones. The Trailblazer was based on, especially post-pandemic, the way that businesses have changed. What are you doing to kind of adapt and bring things to the new version of modern? So the project that I ended up submitting was some work that I was doing with ThousandEyes retail environment, so deploying ThousandEyes on Raspberry Pis, but then automating that process.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, custom images, crack the image open, put in the IPs, host names, all that stuff, repack the image, deploy it onto an SD card, off they go. So
the Raspberry Pi was in a store somewhere running ThousandEyes.
And that way we could collect performance metrics from all the retail stores, back to like ERP applications. We could show latency. One of the big things that we ended up talking to our apps teams about was with the simulated transaction tests. And now instead of the app teams having to look at doing 8 hours of like post-implementation testing, we could test from all of our sites at once. Well, the Raspberry Pi agents can't run the browser bot test, but we had Cat 9Ks could run the agents on them, so we had those. We had Docker agents, so we could run those, collect the data from multiple sources, give that to the app team, and then they could quickly and easily run a change, run the automated tests, get their results, and do it much quicker than they could have manually.
That code on the Raspberry Pi, is that on GitHub, or is it like Cisco code, or what is it?
Under ThousandEyes, there's an image that you can download. I actually haven't written a blog post on cracking open the image, but I should. Because yeah, it's pretty easy to do, but you've got to go in and make some specific changes for where the keys are, where the IP address is, stuff like that. So it's fairly straightforward to do, but I should write that up.
You should, yeah. So I'll link that below. No pressure, right? Oh, you got to do it. So
it's going to publish in 2.5 years, so I have time, right?
Dan, you're part of Champions, right?
I am.
So for people who don't know what Cisco Champions is, could you explain that?
Sure. So the Champions program is, I guess the first thing is you've got to apply to it. There's usually end of the year, they have the application period open up, and then through that, they go through and they'll select people. I think it's about 400 people are in the program right now. But the program from a kind of a Cisco standpoint is to bring in people that are involved in the community that know about Cisco, know about technology. From essentially what Cisco then provides is a kind of a smaller community where there's the opportunity to have like pre-briefings. So some of the announcements for Cisco Live were made available to the champions ahead of time, with the idea that if we were going to be writing blogs or videos or whatever, we have the ability to kind of get some of that information so that we can be prepared for it. But it also gives you the ability to just have a more direct conversation with different Cisco engineers. So I mentioned some of the stuff with ThousandEyes that I've done. So Amy Lee, who runs or is part of the group that runs the Champions program, she got me connected with one of the people on the ThousandEyes team, was able to get me demo licenses and get me the resources I needed. And then the other thing is just from a peer-to-peer networking standpoint. I mean, I met Darren through that. I know you and I had a quick, in one of the intro calls, you and I were in one of the groups. So it gives the opportunity to just meet people from all over the world, and Cisco Live especially. I've been hanging out with people from all over the world. Like it's an awesome opportunity to just meet people that are engaged in the community, people that are putting the time and the effort into building the community. So it's a great time.
I'll put links to the Cisco Champions Twitter handle below. So follow them, and then when the applications open up, you can apply. I'm also a Cisco Champion. Highly recommend it. The team, Lauren, Amy Lee, fantastic people to work with, and I mean, you meet amazing people. You guys got to tell me, because you like what you do day to day, because you both got really cool stories. So Brazil, you're on the security team, which is fantastic, right? Yeah. So can you tell us a bit about what you do and like some experiences? Because for the people watching, I'd like to get experiences from you guys.
Yeah, I work at a public bank in Brazil, a huge one, and during the pandemic, this bank was and is responsible for the emergency aid. So during that time, make the bank up and running, and also the transition between the office and the home office of the pandemic, as fast, as easy, and as secure as possible, was very challenging for me. There is a funny thing that one of the parts of the talking to the customer in this period, I tell the customers I'm investing a lot of my personal time, and I love this because in pandemic everyone must share something that extra, not only your professional. And I said to the customer, okay, I can eat and working, I can synchronize this, but my model, from time to time, needs to sleep. So please, I need a bit of sleep.
You work doing work with a very big bank.
Yeah.
So we were talking offline, you mentioned this word like war room. You guys must be under constant attack. Yeah.
When you work in a bank or, for example, DOD or military, it's 24/7 war room. So
much for sleeping, like you were saying, right?
Yeah. Whenever the attack happens, we must go there. So it's a 24-hour war room. You must be prepared for this kind of pressure. So at the end of the day, you and your customer is like a team. We are like a friends, because the only way to pass this war room is to be a friend of customer. Like we must work together like an athlete. You don't need to speak for the customer. Just look to the customer and say, I know what to do. So let's do together as fast as possible.
So I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of NDA stuff, but have you got some stories that you can share, perhaps, of attacks that you either stopped or and your experiences?
Yeah, there's one kind of I can say not a specific attack, but it's something that in a bank occurs, sometimes a bug or something that we encountered. And I remember one day I am one of the customers, and one of the guy, amazing guy, excellent professional, amazing person, and we are upgraded all the stuffs. And when he finished upgrade the stuff, the guy said, I'm gonna delete just one NAT, just one firewall there. And I saw the guy hitting the select and click the delete button. And then we saw the graph 0%, 1%, 2%, and he said he's deleting more than 15,000 of my NATs. And I started laughing, and the guy say, "Oh, come on." I'm the guy is freaking. I say, "Oh, come on. We are prepared for that." So because the bank, if you stop the bank and just this kind of problem, man, in the emergency aid in the next day, how people are will get the money safely. There are some kind of situations. It's not only the attack. It's something we have some situations in real the bank, and I think as DoD military is the same, because I have some projects in the military and DoD the same way. So it's a war room every day. This is why I talk about we must be prepared professionally. We must understand the thing. We must share the knowledge. We must talk with guys all around the world. But we must understand that personally, we must be prepared for that. We must understand what the customer needs before they do. We must answer the question of the customer before they ask. And to do that, you must understand the business of the customer. You must understand the core business of the customer. And this is, for me, is what I talk about, customer experience. This is the ultimate customer experience.
I love that. I want to come back to about products, but Dan, let's give you a chance. Darren, if you're watching, you're going to love me. You're going to have to send me a check, Darren. Who do you work for, Dan?
So I'm a solutions architect with IP Fabric. Kind of a high level. We make a software platform for essentially documenting, understanding networks, and then you can layer in intent checks. So looking at how is the environment configured, how should it be configured. If there's variance, then we can show you that. And then from all of that, it builds basically a data platform from an automation standpoint. So being able to then use that data from an Ansible or Itential, Glueware, what have you, pull that data in, do what you need with it.
So, I mean, in the last few years, automation has been the rage, right? So in your experience, if I'm starting out, what would you recommend? Should I learn Python, Ansible? Because it's been like this for a long time, right? Network engineers, I don't want to code. I want to be a network engineer, but the world's kind of forcing us down this route, if you like. So any advice for that?
First part of advice is, I've heard a lot of people say, I don't want to be a software developer.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's asking you to be a software developer. One of the environments that I worked in, we actually had developers that were attached to the network team. So really what it came down to was, if I was writing scripts, I wasn't writing what was going to be the end product. I was writing something where it was just a baseline of what we were trying to accomplish, so that somebody that actually knew the proper coding could take and run with it, but we were at least speaking the same language. As far as where to start, really for me, I started with a lot of, I think, Python stuff. I actually think
Your networking background, right?
Yeah, I've networking, infrastructure. I tried C++ way back when. I got to my second scenario and hello world, good, got that working. Second one, whatever it was, could not get it to work. Decided networking was way easier. But I went through and learned, I think it was actually a GNS3 course that you had on Python and NetMiko and something like that. So started playing with that and kind of cut my teeth a little bit. And then I'm a big fan of just go take something, don't just go through a lesson. take it and then what can you do with it? When I really started to dig into Python, I found just a video where somebody made a pawn clone in Python. Like, okay, this sounds like fun. Well, can I change the size of the paddles? Can I make it faster or slower? Can I change the colors? So I started playing with different things to just figure out, if I change this, what happens? If I change that, what happens? And more learning by doing than like reading somebody giving me the steps and copy paste steps. What happens when I do something? So going through that, take that into the networking space, and it's the same idea of if I put a loop in, well, instead of creating one VLAN, now I can create 100. Now I can do that, but I could loop the whole process across 10 different devices. I can create 100 devices on 10 switches by kicking off one command. And that was one of those things where learning those pieces and how do I put them into practice was really cool to actually see the power of it.
So I got to ask the nasty question, right? Python or Ansible?
I am partial to Python just because that's what I started with. But it's also, I tend to do that more from like if I'm setting up labs, I'm doing a kind of a one-off, I want to set this, I want to do that. I'm not necessarily going, here's, a library of a build that I want. So for me, a lot of it's just Python. If I'm trying to do like a big pre-built lab, then it's using GNS3, CML, what have you. Build it, save the entire lab as an individual file instead of pushing configs to the devices. So personally, I'm partial to Python, but yeah, it's at the end of the day, whatever gets the job done, whatever's easy for people to learn. The beautiful thing about pretty much everything in IT is that none of it's prescriptive. Yeah. Do what you want, do what makes sense, work with it, take the opportunity to learn. Don't be I'm Python, I'm only going to learn Python. Branch out, try different things, see what works, go from there.
I love that. I mean, I want to talk about yours. You were talking offline, Marcelo, about something that's really important for people from like Brazil as an example, but like English, right?
Yeah. Learning English for me is like, if someone asks me, what's their two main advice for people that is outside the United States and would like to understand technology? First, learn English. But that kind of learning that you're almost dreaming with English. I have a lot of friends of mine that know how to speak English, but when they start reading English, they start to get tired. So we must learning the language, learning English to talk, to read a lot, to make English your native language. So first, learn English. Second, be part of the community. Because in the world right now, we have a lot of sign, a lot of noise, and when you go to a community, the community is like friends that say, don't do that. Go to there. And here in Cisco, we have the Cisco community, you have the Cisco Advocate, amazing guys. This is one of those amazing guys that you can ask questions. And we don't know the guy, and you make a question, and the guy treats you as a friend. So go there. This is the fast way, the easiest way, and the most fun that you have. Don't try to be alone, because 20 years ago, you must be alone because it's only you. Maybe in your country, in your state, it's only you. But now you have a community. So join a community, talk to the guy, be humble, be simple, try to understand these guys. I think this is the two best advice that I talk to anyone outside the United States.
I mean, I might sound biased, but I am part of multiple communities, and the Cisco community is, in my experience, a great place, very welcoming. Everyone's willing to help one another. We're I like to say a bunch of technical people in the trenches, right? We're here to help one another. Any other advice for young people or people starting out? Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be automation, but that's something that people really worry about.
Really, it's just the ask questions, dig into things. I think one of the biggest things that joining some of the various communities has taught me, like when I first joined the Cisco Champions community, there's people whose books I have on my shelf, and I all of a sudden had the opportunity to start talking to these people. And you kind of have this, like, these people are these like great icons of technology, and they know so much. And then places like Cisco Live, where you've got Peter Jones, you've got all these other people walking around, and you get an opportunity to talk to them. And number one, they're just like you. They're
just people, yeah.
Right.
They're all just people.
They're just doing the same thing. They still have the same struggles. Listening to some of them go over, like, when I'll pick on you with the YouTube channel, like you can go through and the joy of when you're putting something together from a content standpoint, when you put something out, it's polished. It doesn't necessarily show the struggles that went into getting it working, to getting that thing done. And the idea that like when you see somebody that you think is way up there, they're there because they had those struggles. They've been through it, they fought these issues. We've all gone through it. It's not like this person was born into the world as a networking god that knew everything. They fought with things, they struggled. Maybe what we should do is go around all of Cisco Live and just ask people, how many networks have you broken?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many stupid things have you done, like erasing the operating system in the middle of the night? I didn't do that.
And it's how many, because no one say zero, because everyone has his story.
If you say zero, then you haven't tried.
You've lied. You've done nothing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, what I love about the community, like you guys are heavily involved, is like you said, it's easy to ask someone. So if you're not sure, just ask. And people are not going to pounce on you if you don't know the answer. I always say there's no such thing as a dumb question, because we all didn't know the answer at some point.
For me, the dumbest question is the question that you don't question.
Exactly.
So we need to make this question, no matter what. And when we started at the beginning of the tech as a tech guy, we remember that we made a lot of dumb questions. So we understand the guy. So we understand that, okay, I was there before. So let me help you. Sometimes I had to decrypt what the guy is trying to say.
Exactly.
Because the subject,
you can't express it,
yeah, the subject is something, the body, the context is another, and I have to decrypt the guy. And I have to, step by step, try to understand the guy. And when they saw that, I think the people say, someone is listening. And this guy maybe is a designated VIP. So it's strange, because when I become a designated VIP, I say, me? I learn with the community more than I give to the community. So when I start to answer the questions, I realized that I started learning fast and more, because to teach someone, you really must understand the thing. So we start questioning yourself. Am I understand this thing? Am I able to pass the knowledge for someone? So the community for me is more like me receiving from the community than me giving to the community. So I love this kind of share.
Yeah, I mean, my attitude is if you find a community where they're toxic, then find another one. And that's what I love about the Cisco community, right? And so I want to talk about this, the announcements yesterday, right? Big security announcements. What's your feeling about some of the products that have been announced? I like the AI thing, seems really exciting. And I want to talk about AI and automation and stuff as well. But let's start with the security piece, because that was a big thing yesterday.
Yeah, I think the AI will be a trend for cybersecurity. But in my understanding, the AI must be something more local, more specific. For example, it's a bank. It's public or private, state laws, federal laws. Because when you are in the business, when you are there, we must understand what's the customer. There is state laws. Maybe in a state it's something that we did in a project is okay, but another state is not. So for me, AI must kind of evolve. Something that we must have as settings. I'm working for a bank, I'm working for DoD, I'm working for a private company, I'm working for military. But I think AI is a trend, absolutely sure, for the cybersecurity.
And for automation?
So I'm guessing a lot of people are already probably using ChatGPT to at least start. And it's exactly what a lot of IT automation, not 100%, but most of the time, it was using things like GitHub or people's blogs or whatever, where somebody had content that was out there. Might not be exactly what you need, but being able to then take it, make the tweaks that you need exactly. So I think that's one of the big things with ChatGPT, AI, the ability to start getting some of that stuff to just build the initial round of automation. But then as things start to become more aware of what the network is, how things are working, being able to actually incorporate that from a kind of a deployment standpoint, it's going to be interesting to see where a lot of this goes.
So, I mean, I know Darren will love me asking you this question. So, Darren, I need that check again. I'll just say this is not sponsored by Darren or anyone.
Yet.
Not yet, yes.
Until that check shows up.
But there's this conversation in automation, and I want to talk about the security piece as well. How much do you write yourself, code yourself, or get a product? Because you guys have this product, and I mean, Cisco have product. And I mean, I look at the automation piece and I think, I could try and write my own Python scripts, but It just, in a big enterprise, like a big solution, it makes more sense just to get a product that's supported.
Yeah, it's one of the great questions with really any time you're talking about software. You could develop it, or you could work with a vendor that's already built it. Nobody goes out and builds their own OS and their own Office applications and their own calling platforms, because other companies have already done it. They've put the R&D time into it. They've got it working. So from a kind of a network automation, network monitoring, whatever terms we want to use, one of the big things is that the companies that are writing the software have teams of engineers that are doing that all day, every day. They're able to do it at scale. They're able to, as new vendors are coming into the market, whatever it might be, they've got a team of people that's dedicated to doing that. And then because they're doing that from a commercial standpoint, the cost of those engineering hours then are split amongst all of their customers. Where if you're trying to do it all homegrown, you can, the technology exists, the way that the companies that built the software did it, that's what they're doing. But then it's, do you take the time and the effort to build that and maintain it yourself? Or it's cloud model, shared responsibility, whatever we want to call it. Do you have somebody else do that work? They're taking over that responsibility to build it. They're going to get paid for it, and that's why we have cloud. You guys take the infrastructure, so I don't have to. It's going to be, whether or not it's cheaper in the long run, I'm giving you the ownership of this part, so I don't have to.
So let's get some get our hands dirty with real world implementations. You mentioned ThousandEyes. So if I want to look at automating my network, which Cisco products would you think I should start looking at?
What kind of automation are you trying? What network are you? Because when we talk Cisco automation, we've got the campus network, we've got data centers, we've got SD-WAN, we've got Meraki, we've got security. So
it's a great answer, right? So give us perhaps an example where you had a customer had a major pain point and then something was done.
So I'll just continue with the ThousandEyes thing, where the environment that we were in, trying to deploy hundreds of ThousandEyes agents manually and having to reconfigure all of them. You're probably talking 45 minutes-ish, 500-600 stores. That adds up quickly. Where being able to automate the process, so I just plug in an SD card, have it flash the SD card, pull it out, and then ship it to a site. As fast as I could move SD cards in and out, the flashing was happening, so I could have 3 or 4 going at a time and just cycle through them. And then the bigger part with that is that now you don't necessarily need a senior network engineer that's going through and doing this. It's a really, really simplified process that the tier 1 help desk or anybody else in the org can work through. So it allows, one of the things that I think is beautiful with a lot of the automation stuff is that it actually takes some of those tasks away from kind of the more senior engineers, so that they can focus on hopefully more difficult things that they want to be doing. But it also, for the junior engineers, it gives them the opportunity to do things that they wouldn't normally be doing. They might not normally be going in and deploying switches or whatever, but if it's automated, they can start to work with it, they can get some of that experience without having to have all of the knowledge to actually do it from scratch.
I love that. And in security environment, got some examples of where Cisco products made a big difference?
Yeah, we are using Eyes at this bank. And in a real life scenario, it's very weird because we have Eyes like a very new product, giving a lot of things like new upgrades, new updates. But at the same time, the endpoints that connect with Eyes, they are old. Sometimes we have old scenarios because in a huge country, sometimes it's 10 years old. So that's when I saw amazing people making codes to make old equipments, start talking with the new ones. And for example, for Cisco, it's kind of difficult to make sure that we have code for any equipment in the world. So that's what I saw these guys that making codes, that making, okay, I have Eyes, we are a new product, very, very new, but I have a 10-year-old product that I have to make a code to connect with Eyes. So this in the real life, I think this is the most challenging because, for example, in a bank, you cannot change everything like this. Yeah. There is time. time to like change all the things, time to update, time for the logistics, the infrastructure. So the real world scenario is much more than like just the cybersecurity one. We have to put a lot of people inside, talk with a lot of people, and at the end of the day, every time we have to say, okay, but this is security, it's yes or no. There is a risk, yes. We can handle the risk, yes or no. So I think this is the most challenging right now, the old equipments and the new ones at the same time.
I mean, how do you handle security in such a big organization with a mix of all these old things? I mean, I'm glad I don't have your job.
Man, it's insane. I have to say, it's insane. People like him, we are all friends. We have to know everyone. We have to do something that I heard a lot here in Cisco, like to simplify the hardware. You must simplify the human being. You must simplify the way we connect. We must like it. If I want to talk to someone, I can talk to someone directly. I know like a hard path, complex, blah, blah, blah. You know to go to the guy and say, come on, guy, stay here and do the thing. I remember yesterday, one of the persons says, okay, if you want to ask anything in an AI, one important question, just one, what's your important question? And then I think and say, okay, AI, where is the guy to solve my problem? So that's what I love to AI to answer me. Where's that guy? Because that guy must be here immediately because I need that guy.
It's amazing because both of you, like when I keep asking you guys like solutions, you don't mention product, you mention people.
I am like a backstage guy. So I'm the guy that stay at 2 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, and every time is who is the person that watch your SIGs? Who is that person? So you need that person. But at the end of the day, when the crisis come, when the war zone is like a mass, you need the best guys in the room.
Yeah, you need a team, right?
Yeah, you need a human being. Because this human being makes a workaround, it makes whatever. So this is the guy. So when you look to the guy and say, this guy care, this is not that kind of guy that go out, that freaking, that I don't care attitude. So the human being at the end is the most important thing.
I always ask this question, and Vincent always, who's filming, always laughs at me because I ask this question, but it's a really important question, right? If you're talking to your younger self, any advice? Because we walked a road, is it like drink more, drink less?
Run.
Run, like exercise, right?
No, just turn around and run.
Yeah, be a soccer player. In my country, be a soccer player.
I like it.
No, really the big thing is, as much as I joke about how, difficult the job can be at times, it's a lot of fun. Like I have had many days where I've like thought to myself that I should stop the IT thing and like just go find it like 9 to 5, punch a clock, in and out, done. But the 2 a.m. phone calls that something's down, those aren't necessarily the highlight. But being able to work with technology, to figure things out, to have the opportunity to grow, like you're never bored. So to me, to actually get back to the question, if I was going to tell the younger self something, it would probably be something along the lines of, don't be afraid of the technology.
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology? Technology!
When I first started getting into stuff, like I was actually afraid of the Cisco world because the CLI thing, and like all the classes, everything I had done up until that point was all, Windows and Windows Server, all that stuff. So the CLI was scary to me, and I didn't really do much with it because it was scary. And a few years later, I started to actually get into the networking space, and it's like, oh, this really isn't scary. Give it a shot, see what happens, and take the opportunity to learn. Like we talked about earlier, we've all brought networks down, we've all broken things, but it's okay. I broke it. What did I break? Why did it break? What do I need to do to fix it? Now I know not to do that again. So it's not scary. It's just opportunities to learn and do better next time. Hopefully, from a community standpoint, help other people learn so they don't do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say to myself like, I have good and bad news. So good news first. I'm very proud that my values and principles, I stick with my values and principles to accomplish a goal. So I think this for I think everyone, if we want to accomplish a goal, get your values and principles every time, like stick to your values and principles. So this for me is a good thing. A bad news, and I think everyone should learn it. You should understand the people that you are invest your time, because sometimes you meet a friend for years and you understand that this is not the correct person. So sometimes I go to the community, people that I even know who this guy is, and this guy helped me a lot. So if I was young, if I understand this, if I understand the person, understand that he is with me, like in the same journey, like let's work together, let's grow together. We are a team. We are not like enemies or adversaries or something like that. And that's the bad news. Because me in the old times, I love to share knowledge with anyone. But sometimes I waste my time to people that I say, these people doesn't deserve. So let's invest my time with the right people. So that's the bad news that I talked to the young guy. But at the most, I can say, I'm proud of you, because you stick for our values, you stick for our principles, you mission accomplished. So,
guys, I really thank you for sharing. And it's amazing. I try to push you guys again on like tech, and you always push back. Community, make friendships, network with people. Really want to thank you for sharing with the community and inspiring others. You got to give us an outro in Portuguese.
Pessoal, obrigado por estarem aqui. David Bombal é o melhor. Guys, thanks for having us here. David Bombal is the best.